finished the previous video by talking about how difficult it is to practice. Not because the practice is itself difficult, but because I forget how to practice. It's so easy to forget. What is this spiritual practice? What's this enlightenment practice that I'm talking about? If you've followed with me through these many videos, you might still not be very clear, which is actually not a bad thing, because it's not a technique as such. Enlightenment practice is realization. It is enlightenment itself. So it's not surprising that much of the time we forget, even when we know we've forgotten. So there are times I'm sitting at the computer having an argument with somebody on Facebook, and I'm aware that I should be practicing, but I'm not sure what this practice is. I'm too caught up in the argument. I need to get my point across. Or maybe I've got some time on my hands and I think, oh, I can practice, but I'm not there. I'm not getting it. And I've been taken to going out and sitting by the sea or on the cliff that overlooks the sea and setting the alarm on my clock for 20 minutes and doing a formal or semi-formal meditation, just a mindfulness meditation. And I think, oh, I can practice now. I can come back to a realization of awareness. But even then, it's not happening. The best time that it happens is when I'm actually doing these videos. Everything becomes clear once again. So you see, this is why there are so many videos. Not because there's lots of teachings to teach, not because there's lots of things to say. It's because I need lots of practice. So that's what these videos are about, me practicing. But it also happens when I decide that I need to prepare for the next video. And the way I prepare is by contemplating the verses. So if I'm on the ball when I go out to do my little meditation on the cliff top, I should take these verses with me, and then it becomes clear once again. So this is the power of these verses. They are the best reminder to practice. And I hope that something similar can be said of these videos. They're reminders. They're not about me. They're not about a particular teaching. They're reminders to realization. Because we're always forgetting, even when we know we've forgotten something. We don't always remember what it is we've forgotten. But if we contemplate these verses, once again, see what they're pointing to, then we are practicing enlightenment once again. And the next couple of verses are a description of all of this. Verse 870, there are transformations maturing from the activities of the manas and the Vijnanas. The manas is born of the Alaya, and the Vijnana comes from the manas. So these are terms that we're familiar with. It's just pointing us back in the direction that it's all happening. There are transformations maturing from the activities of the manas and the Vijnanas. The manas is that aspect of us, that aspect of the mind, of the will, which is either concerned with what is apparently going on, or is concerned with remembering, with realization. If we're not in a state of realization, we're caught up in the world of sense impressions. This is the Vijnanas. We can come back to this will. We can change direction and realize that we can turn the attention back to awareness itself. This is the Alaya. It's the Alaya which projects outwards, and in the momentum of that projection, the manas gets caught. It gets caught in the direction of the projection, in the direction of the world and our mind. So the manas is born of the Alaya, and the Vijnana comes from the manas. It's this is the momentum of the projection. It's like when we're watching an old movie on a movie projector. We're not looking at the projector, we're caught up in what's being projected. The next verse says a bit more about this. From the Alaya, all mental activities take their rise like the waves. With habit energy as cause, all things are born in accordance with conditions of causation. So the Alaya is absolute consciousness, but it's also appreciation that consciousness contains the seed of its own unconsciousness. And it talks about mental activities take their rise like the waves. This is the momentum of the projection. And as these waves project out, they form little vortices, and that's you and me. These are the habit energies. And these habit energies, these vortices, take on a sense of separate identity. And the conditions of causation are the conditions of the 12 nidanas and the wheel of life, the cycle of conditioned co-production, clinging and craving and aversion and ignorance all kick in and create limitations in consciousness. These limitations in consciousness are known as you, me, and the world. And verse 172 spells this out. All things momentarily divided but bound up in a continuous chain are taken hold of as real, while they are of mind itself. They appear in varieties of forms and characters, but are the product of manas and the eye-Vijnana, etc. So the product of manas, this is the product of the outwardly directed attention, the attention which is directed to the world of the senses and the world of thoughts, ideas, feelings, and so on. So there's this huge wave that we're caught up in. So it's quite understandable that we get overwhelmed a lot of the time, because this is the nature of consciousness. Consciousness overwhelms itself. So it's open to speculation how much consciousness can be aware of itself. In my case, not very much, but probably a lot more than in other cases. But it's our job as enlightenment practitioners to keep at it, And as a side effect, we can perhaps start accessing unconditional joy, and maybe even start living from that. So this is another aspect we can practice. If we can't come back to awareness itself, perhaps we can realize our capacity for unconditional joy and all-embracing love. These are some of the colours of the rainbow body, which as enlightenment practitioners we can choose to inhabit. So there's lots of different angles here. We can see how our bodies incline us to particular tensions. How our bodies can incline us to shut down in certain ways. These are all things to be aware of. So if we can't come back to the realization of awareness itself, if we can't always remember, we can simply be mindful. Be mindful of what's happening. Be mindful of our habitual tendencies, our habit energy, the pattern of our sensibilities which keeps wanting to reinforce itself. And we can counter this with total acceptance, the realization that our happiness is not dependent on anything, the realization that we can simply choose to be happy, the realization that all our anxieties, our fears, our worries are like a bad addiction, and we can drop them. So if we can't remember how to practice realization, if we can't be enlightened, there's no point in getting upset about that. There are lots of other avenues to explore. And one is the realization that all of this is mind itself. All of this is presence. And we can abide in this presence. We can abide witnessing. The reminder to enlightenment is right here.